certainly Reading, they've dropped like stones when there's been a managerial change for the fans demanding exciting football. So you've got to strike the balance, and I absolutely understand that, and I don't dislike or disregard Gareth Southgate's achievements. I think he did very well to qualify and do well in these tournaments, but I think the time had come for a more positive outlook. And I don't know, I've got no inside information, but I get the impression from bits that I read that the FA may not necessarily be wanting to appoint Lee Carsley on a permanent basis. Now, I've got no evidence to say to support that, but I mean, there's been talk they might approach. It's been said before, but Eddie Howe of Newcastle, who the owners have given him permission to speak to the FA, the Premier, not the FA, not the Premier League, about the England job, which might suggest that they want him to do it. I mean, personally, I think that he would be a good fit for the England job. Obviously, he's an Englishman. He's very passionate about football. He's very knowledgeable, and I also think maybe Newcastle. It's just my own view. Maybe thinking they want a bigger manager, perhaps, than. Sorry, you disappeared there. You've just
Yeah,
come
sorry,
back.
I don't know what
Perhaps
happened.
a bigger manager. No disrespect to Eddie Howe at all. I
Yeah,
think he's excellent, but they may want one of the international names to sort of take them to their next level. I don't know.
yeah.
So personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Eddie Howe as England manager. But they may keep Lee Carsley if they do. Good luck to him. But we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you did say it's something that I picked up on when you was, talking there, and I thought about, are you saying that a manager can be sort of uh, um, attacking football shy, not wanting to score goals? I don't, because that's
No,
what,
I don't think. No, I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not. I understand why you say that, but that's not really what I'm saying.
right,
But I think the difference in approach is that some managers,
yeah,
possibly more the exception now, I don't know. Some managers go out with their team not to lose.
right,
So if they get a draw, they are pretty happy with that, particularly against the bigger teams. And we can all understand that. If you get a lower team in the Premier League or any league playing one of the top teams, they're going to be perhaps more defensive minded. That's almost inevitable. But if that becomes a kind of a permanent feature of a manager's way of approaching the game and instructing his team, that all costs we don't lose. Therefore, you tend to pack your defence a bit, or at least put in defence-minded players in the midfielders, etc. You expect your forwards to track back and defend at corners and other times, so that when you get a possible break on, you've not got anybody up there to pick up the ball and perhaps threaten the opposition's goal. So I think that's what I'm saying. That I felt that Southgate's tactics were along those lines. It was we mustn't lose, rather than well, let's try and win, but at the same time, let's get a good balance of a good defence, great goalkeeper. Every team needs that, and an attacking midfielder, a defensive midfielder. Let's not be overrun in midfield and building from there. And if you're obviously got the best players in the international team, I think a manager should be able to achieve some success in that. Because it has to be said, for the last few tournaments, England have qualified very easily. We usually finish top of the group in the qualification games over a couple of years. And then this time we did very well in the actual finals of the tournament. So that's all good. So I think there's a lot to be grateful to Gareth Southgate for. I think he did a very good job. But I think sometimes people want to see a bit more excitement, both their own team and the international team. So that's all I'm saying. I'd like to see a manager who's got a good balance of, playing to their strengths, playing to good forwards who can score goals regularly, but a good, sound, solid defence as well. And I think it's possible to have that balance.
yeah. Well, I do. Yeah.
forwards who can score goals regularly, but a good, sound, solid defence as well. And I think it's possible to have that balance.
Yeah, well, I do. Yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah, just wanted to get that. Well, so Eric Ten Hag,
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still there. I cannot believe. I've been following it. They had meetings on Monday. He had to travel to London on Tuesday. Had meetings with what's that man? What's that guy's name? Oh, the Sir something.
Oh, Jim, isn't it? Sir Jim,
The Jim Ratcliffe.
Jim Ratcliffe. Yeah.
Yes, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And you know, and I thought, yeah, this is it. We're gonna get someone
Mm,
new, because as humans, something that we do clamor for is change. It don't matter whether
mm.
we don't know what's on the other side of change, but we just clamor for change, don't we? It gets to a point where you think, you know what, I'd like something different. But that's not what's happening here, bro. What's happening here is we want that guy out.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I know.
Well, so Jim Ratcliffe has the weekend, I think, refused to confirm that Ten Hag would be staying. So that was like a kiss of death for him, I would have thought.
Yeah,
So it doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't think he's going to be there much longer, but we don't know what may have been said at this meeting or whatever. I mean, the last two games, which I think both ended in draws. I mean, the European competition was 3-3, I think, and
yeah,
then the weekend was 0-0. Was it the
yeah,
weekend? I
yeah,
think it
no,
was.
yeah,
So that's hardly getting the results he would have needed to stay on if they said, look, you've got two games to save your job.
yeah,
So although he didn't lose, I wouldn't have thought that was enough. I said to you before, I actually I've got a lot of time for Ten Hag. I mean, in terms of his general approach, he speaks well. He speaks
right,
well on behalf of his players.
right,
Um, he reacts quite angrily, I think, if other managers or other players have a go at his team, which is good. He stands up for his team,
yeah.
and I don't know. I don't really know whether he's got what it takes to be a successful manager at Manchester United. Man United are obviously one of the world's biggest, most famous teams, and I guess they've always had, well, usually pretty high-profile managers, not all of whom have been successful. Certainly since Alex Ferguson,
Yeah.
but I don't. I'm not sure that Eric Ten Hag, good a manager though I think he is, has really got the necessary touch, the necessary personality to manage a team in the way that the owners obviously want.
I don't think so either, because I mean, there was Sir Alex Ferguson there as well. But I don't get his role at Manchester United. What is he still there for? He's no longer the manager. He's no longer the coach. What was he hanging around like a bad penny?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's. I don't think he's he may be technically an ambassador like Bobby Charlton used to be,
Right, right.
but probably. I mean, I don't know whether he's there to put the occasional word of advice in the ear of the current manager. I don't think managers generally would appreciate that.